Yeah, hi, I'm Gertje. I am going to be talking about, I'm a postdoctoral researcher slash consultant, postdoc being what, that is the last slide, postdoc being what it says in my contract and consultant being what it says on my business card for AbacusBio. AbacusBio is a private science and it's an R&D company essentially. It's based here in Dunedin. It mainly focuses on agriculture and agribusiness, so we actually operate as a consultancy firm. And I'm going to be talking about kind of more about the company, to be honest, than about myself, because I, when I did my vet degree, had absolutely no idea what types of opportunities are even out there. I didn't know that this field even exists, and I had a vague kind of idea that it must exist because someone must be doing this crap, but you know, it's I just kind of want to present you with, like, yeah, just an idea of what this is, what working in it would actually look like, just to, yeah, start a conversation, not necessarily with me, but you might want to go out and just kind of explore a little bit more. So AbacusBio, as I said, it's a private company. It was founded in 2001 under a slightly different name. Back then it was called Abacus Biotech, which still kind of made a little bit more sense than AbacusBio, because what the hell is that? And we actually recently merged with a company called Gemnetics, based in Rotorua, and Gemnetics was a tree genetic improvement company. So AbacusBio actually, we have largely focused on livestock over the past 20 years. We now have offices in Dunedin, in Rotorua, and in Edinburgh in the UK. We have just shy of 50 people and representing 12 nationalities, and we speak 10 different languages, a lot of which are actually also spoken in the office, either because we've got clients that speak them or because we have multiple people that speak them. I'm sitting to another German next to another German for some reason. Where we work everywhere. So AbacusBio, despite the fact that we're in Dunedin and it kind of seems weird, is actually the global leader in livestock genetic evaluations and genetic improvement for the commercial sector. And we have clients all over the world. This map is not up to date. We also have a client in Mongolia, we have a client in Portugal, and we are just about to sign a contract with the United Arab Emirates. So a lot of our consultants travel. I actually just came back a week ago from 3 months spent in Edinburgh in the office there, in Germany, in France, in the Netherlands, in England, in the US in 2 different places, and then in Canada for a conference. So if you like traveling, you can do it. If you don't like it, you don't have to. You might have to go to Hamilton occasionally, but... So what we do, as I said, our core competency is, and always has been, in genetics, mainly livestock genetics, but also plant genetics, and genetic evaluations. That means that we we design breeding programs, and we calculate breeding values for cattle and sheep and fish and bees and lots of other weirder stuff. I guess bees are already kind of weird. Anyway, so we also work on a lot of other kind of aspects of agricultural science and technology. We have actually expanded a little bit more into agribusiness over the past, I want to say, 5 or 6 years. And we now do a lot of work in strategy. So we work with, for example, big institutional investors that want to, you know, they want to know if I'm investing in this company here. For example, I recently worked on a project in Portugal, which was it was an almond production farm. So they want to produce these sweet almonds. Sweet almonds are not common in Portugal. Most almonds grown in Europe are bitter almonds. So they want to produce sweet almonds. Sweet almonds need a lot of water. 90% of them are currently grown in California, which is why California is kind of dry, because all of the water is in the orchards. And you need a ton of bees to pollinate them. So their main problem, they have water, they have the water rights, it's kind of warm enough. Their main problem was, do we actually have enough bees in the area? Can we actually get enough pollination coverage to grow these almonds and get good harvests out of them? It doesn't matter if the tree is standing there if it doesn't actually, you know, produce any fruit, right? So I had to kind of go in and say, okay guys, so what do you have? How many bees, how many colonies of bees do you have? Do you have someone contracted to run them? Do they know what they're doing? So a lot of these kind of due diligence type things are also stuff that we do. What does that actually look like? As you might have gathered, I work with bees. So for me, I actually do a lot of office work. I want to say probably, for most of us, probably between 75 and 80% of our time is spent in front of a computer or in front of other people talking about what we just did on the computer. So a lot of office work, but it's very collaborative. We work entirely in teams, which is great because it means that you don't really have to get your publications out, and you don't have to kind of build your personal reputation if you don't feel the need to. You can. We actually get money allocated in our budget to finish publications, but we don't have to if we don't want to participate in that hamster wheel, because AbacusBio, the company as such, has a reputation that we can leverage for more money and more work and more projects and cool stuff. So for myself, it's also quite versatile. I work with beekeepers directly, so I get to go out and actually work with beekeepers, which is awesome because they are great guys usually, and because they work with bees, and bees will tell you if you're not a nice person in no uncertain terms that wasn't okay. So I also work with bees directly. I go out and actually do beekeeping work. I collect samples. So it can be quite versatile if you want it to be. It is very applied. All of our work is client-based, which means that everything that we do was building a hammer, was actually solving a particular problem for someone. And sometimes that can be a bit of a limitation because it also means that we run into issues or not issues, but we run into moments where we're working on something really cool and you realize that where your thoughts are going right now, what you want to do is out of scope. You're not going to get paid for that. And you do not want to deliver something that you didn't get paid for, because then they're going to think that you're cheap and they're going to come back to you and always expect you to work for more than they're actually paying you for. So that's kind of a trap that I think you're going to run into in the entire private research sector, to be honest. But it is very flexible that, like other people have said that before, that going down to part-time, going back up to full-time because of babies. There are a lot of babies at Abacus. At one point, we actually considered opening a nursery. I am not joking. We had a guy from Singapore, and he was going to be the nanny because, they got to speak Chinese, right? So, but that means that it is very easy for us to just say, look, I'm not going to come in today because I don't know, currently our office is really cold, which I personally am not enjoying. So I actually have the option to, if I'm doing field work and I'm going to be out there for 11 hours, I can just say, look, I'm not coming in today, I'm not going to come in until 2 p.m. because I worked 11 hours yesterday. All of our time is time-sheeted because we need to be able to invoice clients at the end of the month. Which means that I have to account for every 15 minutes of my day, but it also means that I can actually subtract those 15 minutes from the next day, which is awesome. So what to expect? Well, I think there are kind of two tracks that you or your career, or however you want to call it, can take in the private sector. One of them is so I've just kind of gone with what we use internally. So we have employees and we have contractors. Employees are people that they have all the flexibility of being able to kind of make their own schedule. They have security. Like I started as a postdoc straight out of my PhD on an unlimited contract. So this is my job now, unless I want to, I don't know, screw up or leave or something. So you have the collaboration aspect to it, and that's something that you cannot possibly get away from unless you work for a very big company. And then you've got the contractors. They kind of have a similar situation, but the two terms that I kind of came up with when I thought about what distinguishes contractor positions from the employee, the salaried people, is that they actually get to kind of bring their own passion into it more, because they are the ones that go out and hunt for clients and that actually get to say, I want to work on this particular problem because I met this guy somewhere and he just, it sounded like that's totally something we should be doing. You do get to do that as a salaried person as well, but not quite to the same extent, because contractors usually are on a path to become a shareholder, become a partner, and actually kind of influence the direction of the company long term. Generally, if you are keen, go for it. Find a company that you find interesting, read bios on the website, contact people. We are conditioned to get random emails from people all the time that might turn into clients, might turn into hires. So I think we're a little bit more accustomed to just kind of dealing with non-student random requests. So go for it. So as an example, I got here entirely by accident. So I grew up on a sheep, beef, and horse stud in northern Germany on a big organic farm. And when I say organic, I mean European, like EU standard organic, which is not insane, just putting that out there. Both of my parents trained as vets, so I just decided to, that's what I'm gonna do. So I got a vet degree in Berlin in 2013, started working as a vet for a bit because I had to take over my mom's practice. I'd spent my entire childhood showing horses. We showed calves once, as you can see here. Because my brother was still very small, it resulted in more the calf showing him situation, and we never did it again. But I was very familiar with the concept of animal breeding and with the concept of like multi-trait selection, and that it's actually quite complex and you can't really do it, just off the cuff. So I had kind of been thinking during my vet degree that I wanted to work with cattle. And working in cattle and doing kind of integrated health management in Europe pretty much means you're going to be working with dairy cattle. Dairy industry in Europe is not really to my liking for multiple reasons that I'm not going to go into. So I came over here and thought, hey, I want to have a look at a pasture-based system. And I had an opportunity. I had been given an email address by someone who my dad knew of a guy who runs a private company in Dunedin and is kind of crazy. That was literally like everything that I knew about this guy. So I was like, oh, whatever I got to lose, I'm going to be in New Zealand. If I don't like it, I can leave and go home. I'm going to be at the opposite end of the world. It's going to be great. So I emailed this guy and I was like, look, I'm a vet. I want to come over to New Zealand for 6 months. I want to just see what you guys do. I'm really interested in what AbacusBio is doing. And I got an email back saying, oh yeah, sure, you can come over and work for us for free for 4 weeks. So I did that. And after 2 weeks, they offered me a job. And I knew that this is the place that I want to be. I was surrounded by lots of really smart people that do cool shit. And that are everything just felt really inspiring to me. I was like, this is a place where I can, make something out of myself just because I've got all these other people surrounding me that make me push myself. They're not doing anything to me, but they make me do something to myself. And I did not want to let that go. I also didn't want to do a PhD, but I didn't have a choice because the German vet degree is not really worth anything here. So PhD was the easiest way to a visa. Turned out to be awesome. So I did a PhD under Peter Dearden's supervision, but I was placed at Abacus, so the Dearden lab guys only saw me once in a blue moon, if I remember to go to lab meeting. So I worked on honeybee breeding, and towards the end of my PhD, Future Bees happened. So Future Bees is a MB-funded 5-year research program that's led by the university, but AbacusBio is actually a big part of that. So that's kind of, I transitioned directly from a PhD doing this into my next job doing exactly the same thing. And it's been great. But I didn't know, when I started, I didn't know anything about bees. I think I visited like 6 lectures in vet school that I only went to because the lecturer was a friend of my parents. I didn't want to know anything about bees, to be honest. Bees are really cool. So my last and kind of main point is that it is really not important what you work on. Unless you have a personal vendetta with a specific disease that you want to eradicate, don't You know, don't fixate on stuff like that. You need to find someone who is going to make you the best version of yourself. And that's the most important part of, you know, how you kind of design your career. If you want to live in a certain city and there's no one at the university that makes you feel that way, go out and talk to people. Go through companies that are even vaguely interesting to you and see if you can find that environment that really makes you, yeah, want to be better. So I'm just going to leave this here because I feel like if anyone ever wants to talk about any of this, just hit me up. As I said, we are very used to random requests from lots of different people. So thanks.